Mm-hmm.
It has more surface area. So everything you touch is going to feel better and send
Right.
more signals to your brain. Your brain's your biggest sex organ, not because of fantasy or dirty
Mm-hmm.
talk, but because it processes the sensations. And so the
Okay.
more that you give it sensation, the more that it can engorge and she can get her lady boner and
Mm-hmm.
she can feel more pleasure and become more orgasmic. So introducing these tools into lovemaking is very vital as you age because you want to keep your stimulation.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the 18th episode of the Rise 41 podcast. I'm your host, Gonzalo Gonzo Herrero, and today I have the privilege of welcoming Susan Bratton. She is a renowned expert in longevity, biohacking, and sexual wellness, known for her work in helping individuals enhance their vitality, intimacy, and overall well-being. As an advocate for ageless health and passionate intimacy, she combines cutting-edge science with practical techniques to optimize hormone balance, sexual function, and longevity. A best-selling author and speaker, Susan has shared her insights on biohacking, regenerative therapies, and sexual health across various platforms, empowering people to live vibrant, fulfilling lives at any age. And with that intro, Susan, welcome and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, Gonzalo. Thank you so much for having me. It's nice that I don't have to explain what biohacking is on
Right?
your show. And
Yes.
congratulations on 18 episodes in.
Thank
It's
you.
definitely a burgeoning area. And the distinction that I like to make between regenerative therapies and sexual biohacking is that, I'm a big longevity nerd.
Okay.
I'm 63 and I am really working on extending my health span and my sex span. As a matter of fact, I was saying that I'm still in my gym clothes because one of the goals that I'm working on right now is that I want to lift my body weight by my
Mhm.
64th birthday.
Okay.
So I'm working on deadlifting 160 pounds because I'm tall. I weigh a lot because I'm big and I got a lot of muscle. And so I was just at the gym today working on that because
Nice.
I think that definitely one of the things I like about what Dr. Pita Attia says is the three M's of longevity, which
Hmm.
is muscle, mitochondria, and mindset. And I love simple things like that that give you a perspective on, what are you going for here?
Right.
How do you live now so that later you're not feeble? I went in yesterday morning to our local Quest Diagnostics lab for blood draws for a bunch of blood tests. I'm doing a series from a lab called Function Lab, and they measure for a lot of biomarkers. I do organic acid tests. I do all kinds of tests on a regular basis. And one of the nice things is that I have a really great longevity doctor who tracks all of those things for me, which I
Oh, great.
appreciate. But what I noticed at 8 o'clock in the morning at Quest Diagnostics, even in my town, which is a very healthy town, you see really healthy old people riding their bikes, running around, all in their workout clothes, going to yoga. Some of
Right.
those old people can kick my butt in yoga class. But I noticed that 3 or 4 people came in yesterday morning using a walker or a cane.
Right.
And I just want to be flexible, stable, strong, and have balance
Sure.
into right through to my triple digits. That's what I'm interested in. But I think that a lot of what I do for longevity takes me beyond just keeping atrophy at bay, keeping my mitochondrial energy high, keeping the senolytics low.
Hmm.
And it goes into actually going beyond what I am for my age, what my age range should be. I want to be 20, 30, 40 years younger in those dimensions. And that's where you really get into sexual biohacking.
I see.
And, it was funny too. I was just reading an article about LeBron James and all of the things that he does. He spends $1.5 million a year
Uh-huh.
on his health because he just hit his 50,000th scored point.
Wow.
And I read the list of everything that he's doing. He's got a nutritionist who cooks for him. He gets 12 hours of sleep a night. His sleep hygiene is incredible.
12 hours.
Yes, which I thought was amazing. Like a dude. And that includes, it's not a night, it includes naps. He'll nap as well, which naps count, especially on an Oura Ring.
As we age, absolutely.
They do. I like a nap. And he does cryotherapy and cold plunge. He does, and he's so big, he has to have a custom cold plunge built for himself because he's so giant, you know. And he does senolytics, he does stem cells, he does all kinds of physiologic movement with trainers. He does a lot of like, those little things that go like on your legs that are compression, those compression things.
Yeah, sure.
He does a lot of those compression things on his legs. And I read through everything and I thought, LeBron and I are doing the same things. I'm spending a lot less money than he is. I'm not spending $1.5 million because I don't have dedicated staff. I do it myself. But I have a longevity center in my town. I live in Mill Valley, California, and I have a second home down in Encinitas, California. So I live in the north, up on a mountain. I ride my mountain bike, I do yoga, and I work out with a trainer, and I go to a longevity studio. And I want to tell you what I do there.
Yes.
And then when I'm down south, I do swimming in the ocean, beach walks. I ride my street bike up and down Pacific Coast Highway frequently. I do all my errands, all my grocery shopping on my bike. I carry everything and I cook all my food at home. I don't go out to eat that much because it's never as good as my own food. So I do all my shopping, all my errands, all my appointments from my bicycle. I just don't get in my car. Sometimes I get in my car and I'm like, how do I even take the parking brake off this thing, this beast, you know? And I work out with a trainer there and I go to a longevity center. And so I live in two towns that have longevity centers. And it's just so interesting to see that in towns where health is a priority for the people who live there, we're getting these places that I can go in and I can go into a cryotherapy refrigerator basically and do, negative 112 degrees for 5 or 6 minutes. I can do red light therapy beds like the Novathor, which is incredible. I can go in, I can do Vasper and ARX. Vasper, do you know what Vasper bikes are?
I do not. Go ahead. It's like you opened up a candy store in front of me.
I know, exactly. Like we're going to geek out. Yes. VASPER stands for vascular performance. And one of the things I know, because my area of expertise is sex span, how to extend your sex span to extend your health span. Because the longer you can keep having orgasmic connection with yourself or a partner, the longer you will live, the healthier you will be, and the happier you will be. And so really focusing on having good sex and getting better your whole life long is super important. And a fundamental of having good sex, a lot of people think I'm going to say hormones. You got to have good hormones.
That's part of it,
I'm sure. Have good hormones.
Sure.
But you also need blood flow. And that's just not just for the male body. That's for the female body, because we have as much erectile tissue in our genital systems as our male-bodied partners do in their penises. We just have them buried, and you've got an outie and I've got an innie.
Visually apparent. Okay.
And so blood flow, man, blood flow is what keeps sex feeling good and keeps your genitals strong. And so what vascular performance, VASPER bikes are, they're kind of like, they're a high-intensity interval trainer. They're kind of like, what are those things called? That
like
elliptical? It's kind of like a bicycle and an elliptical had a baby.
Okay.
And you're seated on cold pads. Your feet are on cold paddles. You can get a cold wrap around your neck.
Uh-huh.
And you push over a 21-minute program, you'll push 5, 6, or 7 HIIT sessions with complete rest between them. You pump as hard as you can, and then you stop. Pump as hard as you can, and then just down to basic 6 or 7 times. And when you do that, and you're cooling your body, and it uses the Katsu blood flow restriction on your arms and your legs to keep the blood in your extremities, to keep it from returning to your heart as fast as it normally would, which lowers lactic acid buildup. But what it increases, it lowers nighttime cortisol. It increases growth hormone, which is one of the most important things for biohacking and longevity.
Yes.
Is growth hormones. Yeah. And so it's keeping you cooler so you can push harder. It's doing blood flow restriction and HIIT all at the same time. And when I started doing Vasper, I would do 3 sessions a week because I talked to Sebastian Wazowski, who's the son of the founder of Vasper. He owns the part of the longevity center that I go to up here. And I said, so what's my maximum effect here? What do you want? If I could do anything and do Vasper really well, what would it be? And he's like, if you could do 3 times a week, you'll see incredible improvements in your overall health.
Okay.
And I said, all right, I'm going to do it. And I literally watched the networks of blood vessels appear and grow on my thighs, on my arms, on my breasts. I could see that these big networks of blood vessels grew. I became highly vascular. I got pumped, and my muscles, it wasn't like when I go to work out at the gym, like today, I did shoulder presses, I did hammer curls, I did rows, and
like
I was
traditional
using
resistance training.
traditional weight training with dumbbells and deadlifts and things like that. And when you're doing that, you're essentially doing muscle isolations, right?
Yes.
So you're using one muscle or 2 muscles, or some are compound movements. But when you do Vasper, every muscle in your body gets bigger. It's like you're like Superman or like the Hulk. It's like the Hulk. You Hulk out, and then you get all this vascularization, which makes you so healthy. Cognitive function goes crazy because your brain is massively oxygenated by all that blood flow as well. You sleep like a baby. And then I use the ARX device, which stands for Adaptive Resistance Cross Training, I think, or something. And that's very interesting. Have you seen those?
I have not. I'm actually curious still about the bike. And so let me clue you in. I used to be a lot heavier. Part of the journey has been losing 100 pounds, getting in shape.
Good.
I'm under 10% body fat now at 53.
Excellent.
All the good stuff, right? My BMI is absurd. It's because of the body mass and all that. But long story short, I discovered recently that my HRV is not that great, even though I work out, do the fasted cardio, all that good stuff. So you have my attention now with the with this bike, because the moment you said it reduces cortisol on top of all this vascular health, I'm going to buy one of these things.
Well, they're like $60,000, so
I may buy a studio.
It's better just to go into a place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just find a place that has Vasper in your area.
Absolutely.
Are you in Chicago?
Actually, I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, of all places.
Birmingham,
so,
okay,
small, quaint city. Lots of wellness, spa, and that related business models around, but lots of opportunities too. So, hey, anyway, I did not mean to derail you. I was just curious because that seemed like such a fantastic device and workout to address so many things. Like you said, cognitive, blood flow.
Yeah.
I mean,
testosterone.
That's right, because you're stimulating that too.
Builds a ton of testosterone.
Yeah. So please now tell me about the next one. Tell me about the next modality.
Yeah, the next one is called ARX, Adaptive Resistance. And what's interesting about that is it uses eccentric and concentric movements. So basically, The ARX makes a series of machines. And so you can get a full body workout on them. And what you're really doing is, let's just say you're doing you're doing a chest press. So what happens is you're pushing against it and it's resisting. You're pushing against it and it's resisting as hard as possible. And then it pushes back against you and you have to resist it all the way back. And it's this linear kind of thing where you see a readout on a screen in front of you and you see your last best scores and you do like 6 or 7 reps. It depends on how they set the machines up.
Right.
You do 6 or 7 reps, eccentric and concentric, and you try to beat your last best score. When you start to be able to see, there's leg press, there's push downs, there's pull downs, there's all kinds of things. And when you start to see your last best score, you keep trying to beat it.
Sure.
And you beat it. You get so strong. And the push and resist, they make your muscles just banging. They're so good. So I love the free weights. I love the work in the gym. I love the, pull-ups. I just started being able to do pull-ups when I was 63 years old.
Wow.
I'd never done them my whole life. Now I still use a band-assisted pull-up, but I'm doing pull-ups. Pull-ups, push-ups. I'd never done push-ups in my life. I worked my way up to all this stuff in my 60s. So I just love that kind of thing, along with stuff like the cryo and the red light and pulsing senolytics and intermittent fasting and that kind of stuff. I love it. And then one of the things Dr. Jeff does for me, you had him on a couple of episodes ago, and I go to Vegas for him and I do stem cell therapy with him. I've harvested my own stem cells and through liposuction of the fat on the back of my hips, and I have it cryogenically frozen at American Cell Technology in Florida. And then when I want my cells, they culture them and they send them to Dr. Jeff. And he has done a number of things. I had really bad long haul COVID and it wrecked my hair and my skin and my heart and my lungs and my kidneys and my bladder and my soft tissue.
Wow.
And I had a lot of cognitive function loss. There were a few months where I couldn't even speak. I was so ill. Wow. And it really hit me hard in 2022. And subsequently, I also got Omicron and I also contracted Delta. I'm just very susceptible to the virus. And so I had quite a few bouts of it and it did a number on me. And I've been first I started with exosomes, but now I'm using stem cells to regenerate all of that damaged tissue, because another goal that I have is that I want to ski into my 80s.
Wow.
I want to be on those mountains skiing in my 80s, and I'm going to do it. But I ripped my ACLs and MCLs in a very easy fall. My skis weren't set right, and they tore my ligaments clean apart.
Oh, no. Okay.
Now, I've gotten back on the slopes with a combination of strength training and stem cells drilled into my leg bones. Dr. Jeff takes me to an operating theater. He puts me under anesthesia. He drills into my legs, screws the drill off, puts a syringe of my own exogenous stem cells that have been cultured for me, plunges that in to the bones. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to get an MRI of my knee, and we're measuring the growth of the new ligaments over time. They're growing back again. Now,
so full-on regeneration.
Saying,
this is Wolverine-style regeneration.
Full-on regeneration. Exactly. I use the Wolverine, sentiment frequently because I think that that's the mindset part of longevity that Dr. Attia talks about, which is you got to believe you can do it, and then you just get it back. You're going to take a beating as you age. I mean, there are going to be things that happen, but I'm the takes a licking, keeps on ticking kind of gal.
Mm-hmm.
where I'm always making that ground back up as much as I can so that I can keep getting stronger and stronger. And if things happen like COVID, like ripped ACLs, like hair loss, like whatever, I just grow that shit back.
I love it.
So this is the regenerative part of what's
Right.
going on. And I've even had Dr. Jeff. So because I'm a sex-oriented person,
Right.
and I want to keep my sex span going, maintain it, and maintain my sexuality as I age, I also do a lot of sexual regenerative therapies and teach that to people.
Okay,
So
tell
I
us more
teach,
about
like-
that, because this is a brave new
Yeah.
field for, I'm sure, for our viewers and for myself.
Yeah. So a lot of what I'm going to tell you about, I've written in this book called The Pump Guide. It's at pumpingguide.com. So you can just download a PDF copy of it. It's free. It's a guide. And really, let's start with the men. I really love penis pumps, vacuum erection devices. This is my favorite line. It's called the Whopper because it comes in many different sizes. And over time, you're going to need a bigger and bigger cylinder as you grow your overall penile volume. I recommend that any man 40 and up start pumping because, and the thing is that most guys are like, well, penis pumps don't work. They're just crap. And that's because they used something like this, which is a novelty item.
What you see in the novelty stores and so on.
It's, this doesn't hold a vacuum well. It's not sized for most men's penises. It has a shitty release valve. It has no gauge. You don't know what the pressure is that you're putting in it.
Right.
And so you have to use a good product. And you can use a hand pump or you can use an electric pump with a good gauge. And when you pump 2 or 3 times a week, what you're doing is you're essentially doing a 2-cylinder system. So let's just say this is the right size for your penis. It goes down on the shaft to the base of the penis. And sometimes you'll have to do a little manscaping here.
Sure.
Right? So you can get a good seal. You use lube around here. And then you pump, pull the air out of the pump. And that draws blood from your body into your penis, and your penis kind of pulls into the tube, and you hold the pressure steady for 10 minutes, and then you release. And actually, I should have started with the bigger tube, but it kind of looks overwhelming to guys if I start with the big tube. But you actually do a 2-cylinder system because you want to improve both length and girth. So you're reversing the atrophy because your penis shrinks as you age.
Oh, did not know that. Okay.
Yes, it starts to get smaller and more flaccid as you age. So you start with a bigger cylinder, and there are all different sizes, and you put your testicles and your penis in here, and you get a good vacuum pressure, and you hold it for 10 minutes. And then you release it, massage your penis, and then you put it in the smaller cylinder, take the vacuum out, take the pressure out, or add the pressure in to take the air out, and pull the blood in and hold it for this. This is the girth pump and cylinder, and this is the length cylinder. And you can get about 20 to 25% increased penile volume. You can make your penis 20 to 25% bigger in about 10 months to a year of consistent penis pumping. But the thing is that once a guy gets to that, he doesn't want to stop because he likes to have a really big penis. Big, girthy, veiny, thick,
Same as when we do muscle training. The more, the better, right?
The bigger the pump, the better the man. And so you can just keep going. You can keep going up in cylinder size as you grow out of one tube. You can get a new tube. And this works very, very well. But for some men, they've waited too long because, Gonzalo, you know how guys are. They don't want to admit that they have health problems. They let things go.
That's So my best friend is a physician, and he tells me about this all the time, that you have to drag it out of men, like whatever the issue is.
Exactly.
It doesn't even matter.
And so
It's
for
how we
some
are.
men, they've lost so much, they've had so much atrophy. They have heart disease, so they have atherosclerosis. The blood vessels in their penis have plaque. They can't hold a firm erection anymore. They're really atrophied. And then you know how in biohacking we talk about the stack, where we
Yes.
do a series of synergistic things?
Yeah, be it
So
peptides or therapies or modalities. Absolutely. Yeah.
So the thing that you want to stack with pumping, you want to stack on top of that, if you need more support to reverse that atrophy and get your function back, your erectile function back, is Gainswave. And Gainswave is an acoustic wave technology that stimulates new tissue growth, helps get the veins and arteries and capillaries really working to the edges again. And then the nerves can come back and grow to the edges too, because many men in their older age, they have sensation loss. They struggle to achieve climax, especially during intercourse. Like they can manually get to climax themselves. They have to use too firm a grip. And so the Gainswave is really good with penis pumping. And the other thing to add to the stack is a nitric oxide supplement.
Right.
Nitric oxide is the thing that gets the blood where you want it to go, to your brain when you're thinking, to your heart when you're working out, to your penis when you're making love. And I like a citrulline-based, for men over 40, citrulline is very effective. But you also have to get off the antibacterial mouthwash. You got to stop taking the acid blockers and fix your gut, because that also ruins your nitric oxide production.
Oh,
so those three things
the gut
work
biome
well together.
becomes important too. Okay. All right.
Oh, the gut biome, that's like ground zero for everything.
Yeah.
Between your vascular health and your gut microbiome. Because the other thing you have to watch out for is your prostate microbiome. This is another reason why I like, hang on, I'll show you some here. I've got a bunch of stuff here to show you. I like prostate massage tools. Hang on, there's 3. I think any man over 40 should be working on using a prostate massage tool, because you really want to get blood flow into the prostate area. And you want to make sure you don't have any candida or bacterial infections that are giving you any prostate problems. If you're starting to have urinary issues, you gotta work on that.
Okay, so I never knew you could have candida. I always thought that was specifically gut related. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, candida takes over your whole body. It's a fungus, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is the Molto. I love the little Molto. This is the smallest one. And when you are stimulating your prostate with a prostate massager, and this one it's app driven, but it also has buttons, you're really starting to learn how to bring the sensation up the pleasurable sensations up into your body. 1 in 4 men have issues with premature ejaculation. They want to last longer. They want more stamina. And using a prostate massager really helps you bring pleasure up into your body instead of out your penis. So I love this. This is my second one that's a little bit bigger. It's called the Plex with Flex. And this one is also very nice, really well shaped. But I would say of all of them, this one is the top favorite for me. This one is called the Vice 2. And all of the links to everything I'm talking about, I have at drivedesire.com. If you could put that in the show notes so that if people were like, what was that thing and where do I get it?
And in the notes, we'll have links to everything we're talking about here, so folks can find anything that you've referenced. Absolutely.
Super, thank you. Yeah, people want to know where to find these things.
Sure.
The Vice I really like because it has this little handheld remote. And it's not app driven. It's kind of simple, but I like that. And this gives you perineal stimulation as well as prostate stimulation. And it has 18 different vibrational patterns and a turbo booster on it.
Okay.
And I like my husband to put this in himself and then give me a yoni massage while I operate this little massager,
Interesting.
this little
Okay.
changer. So I get to give him feedback. He gives me a yoni massage. Let me show you the tools we like for that. Excuse me, I got a little cold today. I love to get a yoni massage before we make love. It helps me get out of my head, into my body, get my engorgement, get my lady boner going. And there's two tools that I like. I like him to manually apply the lube, and I'll show you the lube I like because I don't like sexual lubricants. They're FDA class 2 managed because they have to be shelf stable. And they have all kinds of preservatives. They're like ultra processed food. It's just chemical crap.
Right.
So I use just oil, really good jojoba oil and things like that. But I like one that has some CBD and has essential oils in it. And I'll show you that in just a second. But what I love about these, this one is called the Queen, and it has something called pulse plate technology. And you can probably see it vibrating there. You can see my finger.
We can hear it. Yeah, we can hear it.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this one, it's strong. It really goes up high and fast. It's got a hell of a motor on it and many different patterns as well. I love this one. And really, when you are doing yoni massage, if you give your wife a yoni massage, what I want you to do is, I'm going to show you a picture. What I want you to do is, where's my vulva? Here she is. The vulva. So this is the female genital external area called the vulva. And the mons is up here, and this is the outer labia, basically all where the fur is. You want to rub that wand all around that area. And then also on the clitoral shaft and hood, as well as the clitoral tip, the inner labia, and in the vestibule, and down into the fourchette, which is where the inner labia come together at the bottom. Everything wants that, because here's what's underneath there. Underneath the vulva, if I peel it away and I take the skin off, this is all erectile tissue. This is the clitoral glands or tip, the shaft, the crura, which are the arms, the vestibular bulbs, which are the legs. The G-spot is actually a tube of erectile tissue, and the perineal sponge is below the vaginal cavern. And so the vagina is completely surrounded by erectile tissue. So it's great to focus on the most sensitive area, but when you put the Queen on top of all this tissue, it's going to plump all of this up. And let me show you what that relates to with regard to your penis. So you see the green and the blue, all of that? This is the penis. So here's the bladder, the prostate, the tube, the urethral canal running through the prostate. When it gets swollen, that's why you have pee issues. And then here's your penis. And these are your erectile tissue chambers in the penis. The penis is almost all spongy tissue.
Right.
And this is the erector that helps lift your erection up. And this is your testicles down here. And so all this spongy tissue is the same as all this spongy tissue. But it takes the female body, when she has good blood flow, again, you want good blood flow for your genitals. You want to take your wife should take nitric oxide too.
Sure.
Because you want to get all that plumped up without all that outer material under the pubic hair, all plumped up. And the reason that you want to is that, you know how it doesn't really feel good to have sex with a flaccid penis? It doesn't feel as good.
Right.
Well, you get an erection when you're healthy in a minute or two, right? You think something's sexy or you see your naked wife
Yeah.
and you're like, boing, right?
Yeah, ready to go.
But women, we cut all that tissue is kind of buried. It takes us 15 or 20 minutes to get the blood flow in,
Okay.
to catch up with you so that sex feels good to us.
Gotcha.
And that's why we need a lot of kissing and breast
this
play
is where
and body massage.
the very famous, when we go to the stereotypes, so the guy is very quick and whatever, and then women want the foreplay and need it in order to truly enjoy intimacy. So, okay, makes perfect sense. Now it makes physiological sense.
Exactly. And this is the other Yoni massage tool. Yoni is a tantric lovemaking word for the vulvo-vaginal female genital system. It means portal. And what it really means is I don't have to say vulvo-vaginal female genital system. I can just say Yoni.
Yes.
That's why I call them Yoni massages. It's just a nicer word, I think. It's a sweet word. This is an alternative tool to the Queen. It's just called Vibe. It has a very dumb name, very dull. But what's nice about the Vibe is that it is, you can't hear it. It's a little less strong. Some women are sensitive and they don't want a lot of sensation. They want light touch.
Right.
But if I'm turning this I'm pressing it to turn it all the way up. Can you hear it?
Yep.
Barely, right?
Yep. But it's there.
Can you hear it at all?
Yes, absolutely. There's a vibration. It's clearly, Oh, yeah.
But if you have kids at home or you live in community or you're sensitive to noise, or you're just sensitive to sensation, I think it's very good to use Vibe instead of Pulse Queen. So I like people to have a choice. I like them both. And when I do Yoni massage with my husband, sometimes I want the Queen and sometimes I want the Vibe because it's just sometimes I'm more sensitive and sometimes I need more sensation. Because even after menopause, though I have not gone through menopause, even though I'm 63, because I take bioidentical hormone replacement.
Gotcha.
But even after you stop menstruating, you still are on a moon cycle as a woman. And some days we want more pressure and sensation and other days we're more sensitive and we don't want as much. So I like to have both of these tools. So I highly recommend that men get themselves a penis pump, get a and a prostate tool, and get a Yoni massager or two for your wife.
Yes.
Because the more that you are, and it's not going to wear her out, it's not going to keep her from it's going to expand her orgasmic ability. It's going to orgasmically cross-train and activate all the tissue in her yoni so she has better orgasms, because when that fills with blood, it has more surface area. So everything you touch is going to feel better and send more signals to your brain. Your brain's your biggest sex organ, not because of fantasy or dirty talk, but because it processes the sensations. And so the more that you give it sensation, the more that it can engorge and she can get her lady boner and she can feel more pleasure and become more orgasmic. So introducing these tools into lovemaking is very vital as you age, because you want to keep your stimulation really going.
Absolutely. And none of this seems super complicated to use, which is great. It's accessible to an entry-level person, because that was one of the questions I had is, if you're a beginner in this space, in this sexual biohacking space, what can you do? And you've answered this beautifully. So
Yep, exactly. Stimulate the tissue and take nitric oxide.
Absolutely.
Use a penis pump, get Gainswave. And there's Gainswave for her as well, because women have the same genital atrophy as men.
Okay.
So when you're shrinking, she's shrinking. Vanishing clit, vanishing labia, loss of sensation, loss of lubrication, all that stuff. And then, of course, hormone replacement. I love hormone replacement. Progesterone.
So let's
estrogen,
talk about that a little
testosterone.
bit, if you can, because I've had experts here, and as a guy, we're more simple, far simpler hormonally than women, it seems. But I've never had somebody specifically address what women should look for, what they should optimize, what advice you may have. And I would love to hear it, to share with the audience.
Sure. So I take estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone.
Okay.
And I also boost my gut with a probiotic called Lactobacillus reuteri, which is the gut bacteria you need to make oxytocin. And oxytocin, when you're a low oxytocin producer, you have anxiety, you have a little depression, you don't like people as much, you don't feel as close to people, you miss the awe feeling of life. The you don't have that. You're flat. So oxytocin is a very, very important hormone to produce. And it's really, in some ways, kind of like the antidote to cortisol. You need cortisol. Cortisol helps you cope with stress and all of that. But we're under a lot of stress in our world today. And we need to kind of mollify all of that cortisol with oxytocin. So, and the estrogen that I recommend is Biest, which is two kinds of estrogen, estriol and estradiol in balance. And then progesterone to mediate that because they balance each other out. And then for women, I think adding testosterone for many women makes them feel so much more confident. They're able to muscle build better. But I take a lot of testosterone. One of the things that I like about it is I am a woman who is very, very feminine and also very, very masculine. And I like all of that about myself. I don't want to diminish any part of my personality. And I like that the testosterone, it gives me confidence. It lowers my voice a little bit. It makes me less fearful of things. It gives me balls.
Assertiveness.
And I like that. I'm a CEO of a couple of companies.
Yes.
You know,
assertiveness for
I
sure.
like to, run. Why should I diminish myself for any reason?
Sure.
We should be playing
Why should you?
full out. Exactly. We should be playing full out. And so I really feel like taking exogenous testosterone, which I rub in a shea butter cream on my clitoral structure and labial structures. It keeps it meaty. And you want it meaty because the bigger and more tissue volume there is, the more signals there are of pleasure.
Yeah, it's the exponential gains, if you will. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's the recommendation. And I think working with a functional medicine doctor, a naturopath, a gynecologist, your urologist, they're very good at doing blood tests, monitoring your levels, ordering your prescriptions. I mean, literally, Gonzalo, I just picked up my estrogen and progesterone today, and I take my estrogen patch is, I think it was $3 for the month.
Right. Which is, it's not even an expense.
No, it's not. I mean, to not take it would be crazy. And the progesterone was maybe $5. And I think I got them backward.
Right.
I think the estrogen patch was $5 and the progesterone was $3. They cost nothing to supplement. My
it's such an
testosterone's
investment
a
in
little
your
more
health
expensive.
and your well-being. I
Oh
mean,
my God. We need estrogen for like every part of our body. There's estrogen receptors all over our body. It's for cognitive function, heart health, skin health, memory. I mean, it just does so many things for us. So to allow it to diminish in today's world when we have access to it, most of us have access to hormone replacement therapy. There's very few people that it's contraindicated for. Estrogen has been vindicated to be an excellent thing to supplement with. So once you get your daily vitamins and minerals, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm so glad that you said that, because I have met so many people, especially older folks, who, especially in the female hormone replacement field, immediately you hear the stories of, what about cancer? What about this? What about that? And I feel like in the last 10, 20 years, we've kind of debunked a lot of that completely. That done responsibly under medical care with blood work, etc., there's nothing but harm reduction, if not outright incredible benefits to your health.
Incredible
by
benefits.
staying that way and staying vital and energetic and all of that, which is what
Exactly.
you're advocating.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Another key area I think is oral microbiome.
okay.
Not just gut biome, but oral microbiome is very, very important as well. And remember I talked earlier about not using an antibacterial mouthwash?
Yes.
It's fine to use oral rinses that are not antibacterial, but you want to use a hydroxyapatite toothpaste to remineralize your teeth. But you need to go and get your teeth cleaned every 6 months and make sure that you don't have periodontal pockets. Make sure that your teeth are deplaqued. If you've got plaque forming on your teeth, it's likely that you have some kind of a calcium phosphorus imbalance or that your oral hygiene is not good. And when plaque is laying down in your mouth, plaque is laying down in your arteries. That's called hardening of the arteries. That's atherosclerosis. That is heart disease. That leads to strokes and heart attacks. You do not want to have a stroke. You do not want to go in and have a stent put in or a pacemaker put in. You don't want to be old and feeble. You want that heart pumping, and your oral microbiome is directly attached to that.
This is so interesting because so many people don't realize that connection. So to give you full disclosure, like our son is 26 years old. He has Down syndrome and he had a heart condition when he was born. And one of the things that I always found curious was they would always ask for him to have an antibacterial before doing any dental work. And the reason for that is exactly what you mentioned. Anything in the oral cavity could affect his heart, which, by the way, he had surgery. He's a bodybuilder now. He's fine. He's doing phenomenally great. He's part of the reason why we got into the biohacking space, is to like help him and optimize him. So it's not just us, it's all of us. So
take care of our family.
So cool. It's so cool that you mentioned that, because so many people fail to see that connection between the oral health and your cardiovascular health. And there are so many ways to like keep an eye on that and stay healthy. I was going to ask you about bioregulators next, but we can get to that later if you want.
Okay.
Specifically about
there was one more thing I wanted to show you.
Please.
Let me show you one more thing. So
share.
I remember I forgot to tell you about the lube that I like.
Oh,
so these and I think it's really, really important when you're giving Yoni massages to just use a beautiful scented or unscented nut oil based, these are what I like. Now, this may or may not be on Drive Desire. I haven't looked on there recently, but it's Lusty Bundle and loversbundle.com.
Okay.
And what I love about these are they're 100% natural ingredients.
Right.
And then another thing that I really like from the same company is called Nude. These are stamina gummies and vitality gummies and stamina capsules and vitality capsules. And these essentially have libido botanicals and cordyceps mushroom complex, damiana, horny goat weed, these kinds of libido botanicals, maca, etc. in them. And I really love to use these types of products to stimulate desire. And the other thing that I also like are these sex bites. These are little gummies. And this one, I already cut the top off and had one. Maybe I'll have another one.
Get the party started.
What I like about these, they have a little bit of, these have Delta-9 in them. So they're a hemp-derived product.
Yeah.
Hemp is the cannabis plant. And hemp can be shipped to 49 of the 50 states through the Farm Bill. And not Oregon. Sorry, Oregon. And I like these because they have Delta-9 in them, so they are psychoactive. And a lot of people, they'll be like, yeah, I need to get a little tipsy to relax for sex.
Yeah.
I prefer the cannabis-related libido support because alcohol is a depressant on your system.
Yeah. Yeah.
It lowers your inhibitions, but it doesn't do anything to make you feel good in your body. And what I love about the Lusty Bundle, which is these and these little vaporodisiacs, which are botanicals and natural flavors. These are healthy, a healthy way to lightly take in a little bit of what's called HHC. It's a kind of a cannabis. And it gives you it just kind of gets you into your body. It gets you feeling your sensation. It gets you heart connected. You start talking about how you're feeling. Oh, I'm feeling this. Oh, I'm feeling that. Oh, it feels so good when you touch me now. And so many people are moving away from alcohol, but enjoying these kind of libido botanical products for lovemaking. So I have, I was smoking pot in the 70s. So I've always liked to take a little toke here and there. And I love some of these new products that include libido botanicals in them. So some people are like, that's not for me. And I totally respect that. But for a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to drink anymore. It ruins my sleep. It has effects on me. I don't feel as good in the morning.
Right.
What else can I do? And I'm like, try some gummies, try some vaporodisiacs,
I mean, the thing with alcohol is such a tightrope, right? You overdo it too much, then you fall asleep and it's not enjoyable. It doesn't, I don't feel like it creates connection, versus like the more slightly euphoric effect that you'd have with like THC or THC related products.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, let me know if you want me to send you some. I'll have them send them to you.
Sure.
There's so many great products. Yeah, just hit me up with your address. There's one more thing I want to show you for women.
Oh, go ahead, please. Oh, absolutely.
I love to show and tell.
My wife is going to love watching this episode.
Good. I'm so glad. Well, this is really nice for vaginal rejuvenation at home. So for some women, they're not ready to go out and get Gainswave treatments. They're not quite there, but they're starting to have some vaginal laxity, some loss of lubrication. They're having a little bit of painful sex. And the vagina, it's not a gland. It's not self-lubricating. You actually need the nitric oxide boosters to get the blood flow into the pelvic bowl to seep through the vaginal lining to wet it.
Okay.
And you should always add extra lube on. You want it to be slippery. You don't want to be embarrassed about that in any way, but it's nice to be naturally lubricated, because even though lubrication isn't necessarily correlated with how turned on we are, when we're lubricated, it makes us feel more turned on.
Sure.
And so using estrogen helps thicken that tissue, and using nitric oxide helps pump more liquid in there, if you will, out of the blood plasma. But what I like is using this is called the vagina device, and it uses red light therapy, photobiomodulation, and it uses warmth. It's warm, and it uses a little bit of vibration for Kegel toning, so that we women, we get incontinent and we pee our pants if we sneeze or we jump or we don't quite make it to the bathroom because we got to pee so bad as we age. And the vagina, it's super common. And the vagina device, it reverses the early stages of this. So it's like the penis pump. When you're 40, you want to start using your red light therapy in the vagina. Another interesting thing about red light is that it stimulates mitochondria, which is what thickens the vaginal lining again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it keeps it from thinning and being lax. It helps with grip as well. You want a good grip on the penis so you can have orgasms from intercourse. But it also feeds, it generates glycogen. And that's the sugar that the good vaginal bacteria in the microbiome want to, that's what they eat. And when you have low estrogen, you have low glycogen. So when you increase your estrogen, you start supplementing with estrogen, and you use the red light therapy of the vagina device, you're doing a double glycogen improvement. You're adding glycogen you're supporting your glycogen production in two ways, and that's feeding the good bacteria. Women start getting UTIs, urinary tract infections, and vaginal bacterial problems of all kinds as they age. And this plus estrogen is a great combination for having a luscious, juicy, responsive, orgasmic yoni.
Yeah, this is phenomenal.
Is very nice as well.
And by the way, I'm a daily user of, I have my Juve Light, and red light therapy is part of my biohacking daily. I mean, daily. And I use it not just for my youthful skin, but also for the testosterone boost, it's red light is phenomenal for that, for all of that. And I have been able to actually show a score difference in the testosterone levels because of the light. Good. So, it's the real deal. So I can only imagine when you have a device like that, specifically targeting that tissue. It's perfect. Yeah. Perfect.
It's so good. It's such a lovely product. Yes, it's one of my favorite things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really nice. And you can do it for about every other day for about 8 to 10 weeks, and you'll see vast improvement in vaginal atrophy, incontinence, vaginal health, etc. And then you could just keep it around, and when you're like, oh, okay, I need to do another round, just do another round.
Awesome. All right. So let me ask you, people who want to learn more, you have so much clearly to share and between the books and websites and everything, which, by the way, we're going to have all that information at the bottom with the comments and the notes for this show. Do you have anything else you want to share? Any other tips? Anything for our audience before we go? Anything to leave them hanging and wanting for more?
I just want to say that I write a newsletter every week, and it's at betterlover.com. You can sign up there. And if you have any questions about anything I've said, or you have a question that I haven't answered, you're welcome to reply to any email that you get from me. They personally go to my inbox, so that's very private, even though I have a lovely customer care team that's been with me for going on 2 decades now.
Oh, wow.
More than, we're in our double decade already together. My team has been with me for a long time. They answer all kinds of customer care emails, but the replies to Better Lover come directly to me. So you can ask me anything and you will get a response. It might take me a day or two. I travel a lot and speak from stage and do various things, but, I really love to help you. And almost always I've answered that question a million times, and I've got a video or a free ebook or an article I've written or what have you. And then if you're less into the sexuality side, but you're really liking the longevity conversation, I have a Substack at longevitywins.substack.com. And that's a nice newsletter too. I just published an article on the glycanage test for inflammation, which I think is one of the best longevity biomarker tests there are out in the market today. That's a very interesting thing. So I'm always talking about the things I'm doing, like we started out with on Longevity Wins, because you can't win the war, but you can win a lot of the battles.
Absolutely. And what I love about the message you're spreading is that, so many people, I guess if we don't know any better, we kind of dread the idea of aging. But I love that you're doing everything possible to make aging exciting. It's a part of life. We're going to do it anyway. Let's do it in style. Let's do it with purpose. Let's do it with joy. And truly have the
strength
best
and
possible
balance and
life
flexibility.
we can. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
So, goodness. Susan, it's been an absolute pleasure. And so to our viewers, thank you for joining us. Check out the comments and liner notes in the episode for all the information that for Susan's products and for her vast wealth of information. And we'll be back next week with another episode. So remember, assess, adapt, overcome. And we're signing off. Thank you, Susan, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Gonzalo.